Noah, tu m'entends? Noah? Est-ce que tu me reçois dans la salle?
Test, test. Oui, Olivier, je t'entends.
Tu m'entends très bien, d'accord.
Ok.
J'ai les interprètes en ligne.
C'est
On
bon.
va d'abord tester le français déjà.
Ok, d'accord.
S'assurer que... D'accord?
Ok. Ok, je t'entends en français.
Tu entends bien le français?
Oui.
Oui. Bah, attends. Tu entends l'interprète. L'interprète te parle maintenant.
Ok. Oui, je t'entends.
Il n'y a pas de problème.
Ok. On essaie l'anglais?
Tu reçois... Non, on va faire tout le monde en français d'abord. On va faire tout le monde en français.
D'accord.
Oui. On vous entend. Oui. Non, pas d'ajustement. C'est bon. Maintenant, on va s'assurer que vous entendez bien la salle. Un instant, s'il vous plaît. Noah, tu peux parler?
Ok.
Noah, vas-y, dis quelque chose
Test,
pendant 15 secondes.
test son, test la salle, test micro, test 1, 2, 1, 2, test son, test 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Parfait, super, d'accord. Noah, c'est bon, ils t'entendent très bien.
Merci.
On va passer sur l'anglais maintenant, Noah, s'il te plaît.
Ok. Chauffe l'anglais.
Good morning, Noah.
1, 2, 3. Can you hear
Good
me
morning.
in the English channel?
Do you copy? Est-ce que vous me recevez?
Oui, je
Canal
vous
anglais.
entends en anglais.
Thank you.
D'accord, super, on vous reçoit très bien également, ça marche.
De votre côté, Noah, du côté de la salle, est-ce qu'il n'y a pas de grésillement? Est-ce que tout est bon? Le son?
Noah, tu peux confirmer?
Oui, je confirme, je vous entends.
Il n'y a pas de grésillement.
Non, vous
C'est bon,
nous
le son est
entendez,
parfait.
mais
Ok,
bien,
merci.
le son est bon, clair, limpide?
Le son est limpide dans les...
No, she has to be
Le son
more
est limpide pour
responsive than
l'interprétation.
this.
Noah, c'est bon?
Oui, c'est bon.
Confirme.
Ouais.
Super, d'accord, merci.
All right, standing by. See you later.
Ok, merci à vous, à tout de suite.
Ok, c'est la fin du test?
C'est la fin du test, oui, c'est bon.
Merci.
Merci à vous.
Merci. Check, check, il y a un. Et test. Check, un. Et.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this, the first session, the Africa Investment Forum.
J'aimerais vous souhaiter la bienvenue à cette première séance du Forum africain pour l'investissement 2025 et donc j'espère que l'on peut procéder.
Yeah, good.
Très bien.
Yes, so we need to finish it quarter two.
Oui, il va falloir que l'on conclue.
Quarter 8:45.
Il devrait, en fait, il faut conclure d'ici 8h45.
You can call them. I'll time myself. Yeah, I've got my phone. Yeah.
En fait, Sylvia et moi-même sont joignables par téléphone. Appelez-les, s'il vous plaît. Vous les connaissez? C'est des membres du panel.
Hello, good morning, and welcome. A special welcome to you, Hardy Folk.
Bonjour, bienvenue.
You have made it here.
Je vous souhaite la bienvenue très tôt ce matin. Vous êtes venus et j'apprécie votre temps. Je me rappelle Godfrey et je vais
Just to remind all those in the room that we also have
faciliter ou modérer cette séance et donc ceux d'entre nous qui assistent en ligne, en plus de nos participants, bienvenue à vous toutes et tous. Quand je suis arrivé, je me suis dit, il fallait que je puisse m'informer davantage par rapport au taux de réussite ou d'échec de projets menés sur le continent africain. Je n'ai pas encore trouvé de données et donc j'ai parlé à un nombre de personnes et j'ai entendu dire qu'il y avait en fait un taux d'échec de 70 à 80%. Bien sûr, la taille, l'échelle, le coût ont toute leur importance, mais en même temps, il y avait évidemment un manque de préparation, alors qu'aujourd'hui, nous sommes venus pour parler de solutions et comment est-ce que nous pourrions accélérer
tackling the issue of bankability challenges on the African continent. What you are going to hear from my speakers is that they are making efforts in trying to enhance project bankability consideration throughout the whole continent. And there will be a particular focus on preparation as well as tackling issues of climate action as well as peace building across the African continent. We have specific examples that speaks to this. We're going to try to see if we can create partnerships between trust funds, impact investors, private foundations, and other multilateral development banks as well as agencies. And the objective is to try, as I said, work across a number of solutions for pipelines of deals that can achieve the impact that we desire on the African continent. Let me introduce my panelists. I'll begin from my extreme left. We have Mukwandi Chibesa-Kunda, CEO of the Zambia National Commercial Bank. Welcome, Mukwandi. We also have Rida Alanigan, Regional Director for Sub-Saharan Africa, U.S. Trade and Development Agency. Welcome, Rida. Thank you, ma'am, for coming through. And Carol Falk, she is a Council for Economic Affairs at the U.S. Embassy here in the Kingdom of Morocco. Thank you for coming through. And I see they left my very next guest here, Oliver Mack, quite a bit from here. Is Managing Director, Head of Sub-Saharan Africa, Public Sector, Global Corporate Bank, JP Morgan Chase. I'm glad I did that because as you can see, it's a very long title. Thank you, sir and ladies. We are empowered. I want to get your opening thoughts, just in respect to the work that you do around project preparation and development on the continent. Before we dig deep into the specific issues that you are addressing, if I can start with you, Kwan.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining us so early in the morning. I'm from Zambia, which is Central Southern Africa, and we're a land-linked country. And so one of the biggest issues we have is regarding infrastructure and scalability of projects, for them to be bankable, for them to be financed. Over the last few years, there has been indeed progress in this space. We were just chatting a little earlier with the ladies out there that we have the Lobito corridor coming up, which will help. And there are a few other initiatives that are coming along. But in the meantime, what we are able to do as a local entity is to build capacity. Because for people to be bankable, they need to understand what it means to have that money and to use it in the right way and grow their business. So it's not even necessarily about the scalability initially. It's about whether people actually have the capacity to absorb whatever finances are given to them. Beyond that, once we're able to then deal with those technical capabilities, it's about scaling up, it's about growing, it's about impact. And as you were saying a little earlier, we have had challenges lately, particularly in Zambia, with regards to climate change. So it just brings home the other factors that can impact you, even when you have a business that, for example, is in agriculture or whatever space. If you end up with a drought, then it just changes everything. And so what we have done in Zambia is to try and also mitigate for those risks, and to identify what is the worst thing that could happen, and to work with our clients and be able to be that bridge as a local entity working with MDBs and whatever financial institutions to get access to that capital so it flows into the market, would build in that capacity to absorb and scale up and have the impact that we're looking for. Thank you.
That you are making progress.
Yes, of course. Otherwise we wouldn't carry on doing what we're doing. As an APA, we have grown over the last few years to be the largest bank in Zambia. And we believe that of our own balance sheet, it's not sufficient for us to be able to have the impact we're looking for. And so we're looking for other partners that will help us deliver to the Zambian economy what is the potential of that economy. And I think it's the same across Africa. And if all the various financial institutions across the continent were to come together and work in such a way that we migrate best practices, we grow our local economies, and we also are then able to partner with international partners as well. I think it's a win-win for everybody. We're making good progress. We have moved, but there's still more to be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Either if I can come to you, you work with us across sub-Saharan Africa. So just generally your observation in terms of the areas where we are working and the kind of issues that you are facing.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree that partnership is critical. Just for brief context at the top, and I hope we'll have a chance to talk through some projects on the stage as well. But for you, those who have not worked with USDA, we are the U.S. government's project preparation agency. We work alongside U.S. companies to support the development of infrastructure projects in emerging markets. And specifically, we work at the earliest stages of the project preparation phase. We take on the risk early, help structure the projects for bankability and financing. Across the continent, across the globe, we work in sectors that are key to economic growth in our partner countries, but also sectors that present opportunities for U.S. companies and U.S. exports. So those sectors are energy, digital infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, and healthcare. At a high level, there's many tools that we offer. We primarily provide grant-based financing for project preparation, as I mentioned. So feasibility studies, technical assistance, and pilot projects. And Godfrey, to your question, I think across the continent we see incredible demand for our programming. It's agency is one of the largest programs. We currently have 65 ongoing activities in 22 countries, and we have a 30-year history of working with public and private sectors. I see incredible demand for digital infrastructure, energy infrastructure, transportation, as we discussed, the Lobito corridor, and healthcare. And tremendously optimistic about the opportunity going forward. But I agree that it's incredibly important to work together, to mobilize together and synchronize our efforts.
I believe that Africa is a country, but I'm sure in your work you find that Africa is not a country. Specifically, because the different problems, countries have got different specific issues.
Absolutely. Every market is very different, and within markets are very different. I think that's what's really important as project preparation agencies. We look at projects, we prove the business case, we take on the risk, and help investors find the comfort to support the projects.
Absolutely. Carol, let me come to you. I promise you I'm not going to talk politics today.
That's what I like about being an economic counselor.
Let's get your opening thoughts.
Well, I'm the economic counselor here at the U.S. Embassy in Rabat. So I'm not directly involved with project preparation, but one of the things that I did want to talk about is the ways that the U.S. government, in addition to Heather's work with USTDA, is involved in trying to bridge the infrastructure gap. And one of those projects is called the Blue Dot Network. It's something that I worked on building before my assignment here. Blue Dot Network is a certification for infrastructure projects that aims to signal quality across the board on a number of dimensions, including not only ESG, but transparency in contracts, building local capacity, connectivity with other with other projects in the region, and that makes sure that projects have addressed risks and are worthy of pursuing. It's currently this is a certification that aims to be a little bit like a LEED certification for architecture, or one could say a Michelin star for a restaurant, although not to say that it's a high-level fancy project, but that it is following best practices. So the initiative, which has been a number of years in the works, was recently launched, and it's going to be run out of the OECD. The U.S. is one of the steering members, but it's also Turkey, Switzerland, Spain, Australia, and the UK. And we're seeking other members to join. We're also seeking countries to become network members, which doesn't necessarily imply any financial obligation. And part of the steering committee is also the executive consultation group, which includes over 200 investors, banks, civil society organizations, and others. So stakeholders in the process, also happening to have 14 trillion under management. And so the goal there will be, as projects are assessed, as projects are certified, there will be a matchmaking element with investors. We regard that as a promising initiative, which I can talk more about.
Yeah, sounds very interesting. Is that only here in Morocco?
No, not at all. This is global.
Just that you are working on it here from.
We're working on it here. We're working on it. We actually there are 7 projects currently in the pilot phase for certification. One of them is in Morocco, but one is a wind farm in Brazil, a data center in Indonesia. We are seeking projects to pilot and also to certify in Africa. So yes. In terms of Morocco, we're seeing a very strong investment based on
If I could come to you, Olivier, your opening thoughts, remarks in terms of the work that you do and what you are seeing in terms of project development.
Yes, absolutely. I'm Olivier Weck, and I head the public sector for South Africa at JP Morgan. So I'm responsible for the relationship between our banks, the government, the central bank, SOEs, and the multilateral institutions. What I would like to say is that JP Morgan is not very known on the continent as a bank, but we are the largest US bank, and we are at the moment expanding actually on the continent. We've been doing projects in Africa for over 100 years, initially from Nigeria and South Africa, but very recently we opened offices in Côte d'Ivoire, Abidjan, and in Nairobi, Kenya. And I'm very happy to say that I was with Jimmy Diamond traveling across the continent to open these offices. It was 3 days. But yeah, but it's a testimony that there's something happening on the continent and that we want to be part of. From my standpoint, I mean, the point of view of a large international bank, we don't do much project preparation, but it's so important to us. For us, we want to encourage institutions like the African Development Bank and Philip is here to help with the development, because from our standpoint, we need projects that are ready. So we come here because we want to fund transaction, we want to fund projects, and we in most instances get half-baked or just ideas coming our ways that are not enough ready for involvement. So we are a large bank, we have the funding, we have the appetite, but we don't see enough of projects on the continent, and we look forward actually to seeing more, and this is the reason why I'm here with a few colleagues, to see what are those projects that are ready in order to fund them.
Sounds like a great story. This guy is looking for deals, guys. He wants to do deals, and he's saying he's not seeing enough. This is a great story. All right, let's dig a little deeper. I'm coming to you, and I just wanted you to speak a little bit to perhaps ideas that you have around how we can get more projects to scale up. So if you can perhaps talk to what development finance institutions in particular can provide in terms of support, and perhaps who they should be partnering with.
Thanks for that question. I think the beginning point is the technical capabilities, just so that we're speaking the same language. because what is bankability on our side as local institutions, and what is bankability on the other side from the MDBs may be very different. So that alignment is the first step. The second is building that capacity to reach that point. And what I have experienced is that sometimes you have to be able to put aside certain requirements. So for example, if you expect the institution to already have had 5 years of having done something, but then they wouldn't have at that point, how can you find that middle ground without getting rid of the mitigation of the risk that comes based on that kind of experience? The third issue that is unique on the continent is that we have all these institutions that have currency risk. And a lot of the time, the financing is good at a particular point, but then if the currency moves, then it just changes all the dynamics. So how do we work with the MDBs to just make sure that currency risk is addressed sufficiently for those bankable projects to remain bankable on a sustainable basis? My final point is regarding the tenure of these facilities, because what you'll find is that the balance sheets of local financial institutions is for a short time frame in terms of the maturities of the various deposits and various other transactions. And so for the institutions to be able to be that bridge, there has to be a way in which the facilities are longer in terms of tenure. So for example, if you're going to go into financing energy, and long-term solutions that are sustainable, you have to be able to give it time. And for that to happen, you can't give a 5-year transaction for money that should be for 10 years. And so these are the areas where we can perhaps improve. However, I go back to my earlier point that I think we've made good progress. When you look at how much has come onto the continent, onshoring of these capital flows, and even the level of interest that we're seeing in Africa, clearly there is something that is going right. Now the responsibility is upon us to just make sure that we take advantage of this, do the right thing so that it carries on into the future and we actually see the flows coming in and staying on the continent and having the impact that we're looking for. Thank you.
No, thanks very much for that. And of course, you come from Zambia. And we know that Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and to an extent the other smaller countries in Southern Africa are absolutely in the grip of one of the worst droughts that we have seen in the region. As a result, power supplies are constrained. Peter spoke about the energy projects that potentially we could be working on here. So I wanted to ask you very quickly, we lost some time while we were preparing, but if you could talk perhaps to some of those project opportunities that you are seeing, that the deal maker here from JP Morgan can potentially look at and say, maybe we can work together. And if you can very quickly, please, in 2 minutes.
Maybe we can work together. In terms of the energy crisis that is gripping the region, Southern Africa region, a lot of the countries are hydropowered. So we have got green energy. For example, in Zambia, 80% of our energy is reliant on hydro. But because we've had no rains, we can't produce that power. So now we're looking at what else. And we've identified solar, and that solar solution is one that, in our view, requires about 12 years for us to really be able to make it work properly for the level of energy for the entire country. We've also identified that interconnectors. Right now, Tanzania has more power than they need, but Zambia has less power than we need. So just investing in the interconnectivity of the power solutions between countries is also an intermediate solution. So you don't necessarily have to wait 12 years to see the solar projects. We do have some solar projects that are just small, mini-grid and homes, and we as ANACO finance some of those. But for the big solar projects, that's very long-term. But an interconnector is a 2-year project, and it can then mean that Tanzania power at a local
L'interconnexion, c'est un projet qui peut se réaliser sur 2 ans. Ainsi, on sera même donc d'interconnecter les réseaux zambiens et tanzaniens.
How feasible is this? How can we just make sure that it does happen? The World Bank has said that they will fund it, but then it can't just be them. We also have to have our own skin in the game and maybe other partners that can make it happen. Beyond that, what we've also identified is agriculture. We have arable land, we have youthful population. So part of what we have seen is that we are very dependent on mining, and perhaps we haven't really addressed the potential of agriculture for the future. And that's another space that we're looking at in the medium term. But the starting point is really the infrastructure and logistics to make all this happen and to do it in a feasible and scalable way.
Yeah, no, this is exciting. So you have loads of opportunities. The guy from JP Morgan has loads of dollars, ready to do deals. We just need to work together and find ways in which to do it. But if I can say to you, so you look at me, I've been around for a few decades, right? And I remember we started talking about the Southern African power pool way back in the 1980s. Here I am in my twilight years. The Southern power pool still isn't functional. The Grand Inga Dam in the Democratic Republic of the Congo still isn't functional. And we are short of power in South Africa. We're short of power in Zambia. We're short of power in Zimbabwe. How do we get those projects up and running? That's your challenge, right?
Actually, just to correct you, the South African power pool is working. So there's a recent development. Zambia is actually accessing power from SA as we speak. Yes. So some of the interconnectors are working now, and that shows us that it can actually work now from East Africa, where the rain belt has moved to.
Yeah, but power isn't flowing yet.
Not enough.
There we go. Opportunity. Hida, let me come to you. Talk please a little bit about some of the projects that you're doing and how you can work with the AIF platform to get those projects going, and what assistance you guys can offer.
Great. Well, I'll be brief. I mentioned earlier that it's really important that we work closely with financiers. And I think the key to our success is our methodology. We work lockstep with financiers and our partners in the public and private sectors when we receive a proposal. And so in 2021, we actually entered into an MOU with AIF to look at projects together, to share information, and to make sure we're mobilizing our resources jointly. And one project that's an example of our work together is a company called Mobi Health. Maybe some of you have heard of Mobi Health. It's a fantastic company providing telehealth solutions in Nigeria, seeking, and they will, expanding telehealth across the continent. AIF brought that project opportunity to us. It was featured at Market Day several years ago. And as a result, we provided a feasibility study. AfroXM came in with financing. And the success of this project and this company, led by an amazing leader, Dr. Adewara, is every week I received WhatsApp from her. She just signed an MOU with Airtel last week, which is going to have a transformational impact across Nigeria and across the continent. And that one example is, I think, the proof of the value of partnership and the value of this platform, not just coming together at a big event, but really what happens behind the scenes on the transactions. It's incredibly important. I will say also, USGDA works with many of the founding partners of AIF. So we have MOUs with TDB, DBSA. We work with also Africa 50 on their ASIA initiative, and AFC, AfroXM, all of the partners and many more, because again, it's key that we work together to synchronize. And I think we certainly work on transactions, we share information together, but we also look at the enabling environment. Just last March, we worked with the AFDB actually on a green and sustainable financing workshop in Abidjan, which was absolutely fantastic, talking about the challenges and bringing the key stakeholders together.
And I want you to talk about those challenges very quickly. If you can just talk a little bit about the dawns, if you have time, and the do's as well.
Well, I'm an optimist, so I see a lot of opportunity, but I will share that we see, I think, again, our role as the U.S. government's project preparation agency is to take on the risk. We do a lot of due diligence on that risk, but we do take on the risk to help mitigate that and take some of the burden off our partners. I think one thing that we see a lot is currency risk. And an example of that actually is in Nigeria, we're working with InfraCredit. And one example of us working together lockstep in the beginning is we working on a project with a company called Hotspot on rural telephony. Working with InfraCredit, we were able to structure the project, and they issued Naira-based financing, which is incredibly important. So I think currency risk is a challenge in some markets. Certainly other enabling environment risks are a challenge. But again, that's our role, is to assess the challenge, identify the mitigants, and work with financiers and our partners.
Yeah, and we had two big devaluations on the continent in the last 2 years, Nigeria and Ethiopia. And that certainly can put a big spanner in the works. Thanks very much indeed. I'm rushing our speakers a little bit because we've hard stop at 8:45 for the main plenary session that's going to begin shortly. So please do understand me. Let me come to you, Carol. You spoke about the Blue Dot network that you are working on, but let's speak a little bit about some of the climate change targeted projects that you're working on here in Morocco.
Morocco presents tremendous investment opportunities, as I'm sure JP Morgan might be tracking, and as is the Development Finance Corporation as well, which is another U.S. Development agency that is looking for shovel-ready projects like JP Morgan, but looking for development impact. Looking for development impact. They offer, in addition to financing, feasibility studies, political risk insurance, and they've been quite active in Morocco and across the continent. But Morocco itself has quite an impressive track record, a very strong, decades-long development plan that started with infrastructure, has moved to industry, the automotive industry, the aeronautics industry, to the point where automotive is now its main export. So in terms of advising U.S. companies, we also are keenly aware of the growing EV market, the growing potential for EV production here. Morocco is blessed with a good geographical location. They have trade agreements, the only FTA on the continent with the U.S., but also trade agreement with the EU, and most of their exports are going, when it comes to automotive, are going to the EU. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there. And we work closely with Development Finance Corporation. We also work closely with an U.S. entity called Prosper Africa, which seeks to develop trade ties with the U.S. and throughout the continent. And they have been very active in bringing venture capital here and doing matchmaking. So we'll be, last year we did the first venture capital forum in May, and we'll be doing another version of it this April on the margins of GITEX Africa, and looking for startups from throughout North Africa for this version.
Yeah, there's a question I've been dying to ask everyone. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I really wanted to know whether things are getting better in terms of doing this kind of deals on the continent than before, because we all know about the Africa risk premium, right? You want to work in Africa, there's higher risk that you have to pay for operating on the continent. Let me come to you. Tell us, you sit, so my microphone is a little off me, but you work on these projects, and you have the capacity and the ability to be able to bring the deals on the one side, and you also see some of the projects on the other side. But how can the AIF work to bridge these two?
Yes, absolutely. And you pointed it well. A bank like JP Morgan, we are cross-border. We are here to attract capital from the US, from international markets into Africa. And from our standpoint, as I indicated earlier, we don't see enough projects. So it's the reason why the AIF is so important for us. We believe that having a place where you have at the same time potential investors and the project ready will actually make the difference. So for us, we need more AIF, we need larger AIF, we need more project preparation facilities. When I look at the African Development Bank and what they've been able to do, I mean, they have a few of them. They have the IPPF, they have the CFA, but these are very small project preparation facilities compared to the needs of the continent. I mean, the needs, you mentioned them, it's huge. So we need larger AIF, and we need even the AIF to be able to raise its own funding to be able to do this project preparation themselves. So if within the AFDB they were able to find a way to make AIF a bit more independent, or give AIF a bit more financing, that would be good. And I have a comment maybe for my fellow panelists here that are providing project preparation. It's good that you provide those grants. It's important to have them, but it needs to be sustainable. The problem, I mean, we are looking at everything from a commercial standpoint, and we believe that at the end of the day, it needs to be viable for it to work. So having these project preparation facilities that somehow recoup your investment later on, if you get like an equity or participation to the benefit when the project works, it will provide you with more money in order to do it more on the continent. So we are looking for ways to make it sustainable, to adopt like a VC type of mindset will actually benefit the continent than just providing handout without any final benefit. So in a nutshell, we need more AIF.
Yeah. But could it be also an issue, Olivier, of size? Do you have thresholds that you work with in terms of JP Morgan? Perhaps the projects are there, it's just that they're not big enough for you.
No, you're right. For us, we need things north of $100 million to be involved. But at the same time, there are a lot of these opportunities. When you look at the scale of what needs to be done on the continent, we believe that you can have this large project being developed on the continent. And institutions like AFDB have, I mean, from what we saw over the past few years, able to launch and put together this large project where we're able to finance.
Absolutely. I'm certainly hoping that in my lifetime, Grandinga is going to come on stream, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I think I might go without the Grandinga coming on stream and powering Southern Africa as it is capable of doing, in fact, if not the whole continent. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we've run out of time. And to those of you listening online, we have run out of time. But of course, sending in your comments, and all of you who are here, I think let's just take this as a taster, and you can certainly engage, and let's do more deals. So please help me to thank my panelists, if I can just start mentioning them again. Thank you. Mokwandi, Tuvesa Kunda, CEO, Zanaco, Zambia. We also had Leather Lanigan, Regional Director, Sub-Saharan Africa, U.S. Trade and Development Agency. Olivia, who has just been speaking here, Managing Director, Head of Sub-Saharan Africa, is looking for deals, let me remind you. And Carol Fall, Chancellor, Economic Affairs, U.S. Embassy to the Kingdom of Morocco. Thank you for your time, and thank you to my panelists again. Thank you.
Merci, chers collègues interprètes. Je crois qu'on a terminé. Je vous souhaite une belle journée.